So season 1 reloaded, we're going to go ahead and talk about the updated meta. I went and updated the spreadsheet already. And we take a look at the TTKs, you can kind of see what sits at the top. And with the way the meta shakes out because of the way the recoil and the weapon loadouts, a lot of the guns that actually do have the faster TTKs just kind of move to the top of the leaderboard when it comes to the meta options because they kill that much faster. We can see that the TTKs up close are a little bit fast in my opinion. So for the close range meta, we do have some pretty broken TTKs with the Velox, the Jaeger, the Akimbo Kogots, the Koda Akimbo, which are all pretty broken. Although it does kill 23 milliseconds faster, that's not enough to justify the smaller mag in my opinion, so I just did include that. MPC, still great, the Kogot, Carbon, and then you can kind of see all of them get a little bit slower after that when we're talking about BO7. And when we look at the long range, you can kind of see that the Wardens here, even though that's not necessarily realistic, this TTK does happen when you do your camo grind. You get a double headshot in the mix. It definitely gets a fast TTK, but other than that, slow reload, I wouldn't necessarily write home about that one. Peacekeeper, probably best sniper support. It has a little bit too big of a shaky recoil, and we no longer have 8 attachments to offset that. M15, great AK. They've buffed a couple different ways. And then we got a couple LMGs, which have always been pretty good. DS Mirage, pretty low recoil and kind of consistent at all various ranges. The big difference here with the Mirage that helps it out is that middle range gets pushed up to 62 meters, whereas a lot of these will have a drop off sooner. There are a couple in the mix that you can see that 58 meters and 60 meters, but that's kind of where it goes. So we're going to go ahead and jump into some loadouts. Before we do have a sponsor. Today's video is brought to you by Factor. This is a company we've worked with multiple times at this point because I genuinely enjoy their product for its unmatched convenience and variety of options, because they rotate out their different food options weekly regardless of your different food preferences, regardless if you're keto, high protein, low calorie, or whatever the case is. And touching on that convenience part, it's super easy. They deliver it to your door. You go ahead and open up the package, and then within 2 minutes you have a perfect meal that matches the specific macros that you're looking for, especially if you're looking to just maintain weight, lose weight. Like in my case, I've down like 55 pounds. It makes it super convenient and especially helpful in the time saving aspect, especially when I was on the game grinding a ton of hours to get all the different camos. Go to the fridge and 2 minutes later, I got a meal ready to eat. So much so that my son's even trying to take them from me. So if you want to get started and check it out for yourself, you can click the link near the top of the description or use code JGODFB50 to get 50% off your first order plus free breakfast for a year. Thank you again to Factor for sponsoring today's video. Welcome back. We're just going to look at the top weapons, not in a particular order. We do have the AK. The build for the AK pretty much is going to look something like this. The main difference is what optic you're going to use. I like the ELO personally for most of the time I play because I play mostly on small map, whether that's Haven's Hollow or Rebirth Island. But the actual, a lot of people do like the Greaves AccuSpot, the Red Well, and a lot of people seem to like this dual zoom as well. So we'll kind of take a look at what that looks like. And then we got the Carbon. A lot of times the SMGs, you're really just trying to solve for trying to get to close to this 220 or less. 200 is probably the sweet spot if you can get a little bit faster, as long as you're not sacrificing recoil control too much where you're just going to be missing shots, or you got to go ahead and change your playstyle so you're getting a little bit more point blank. That recoil is going to get a little bit more out of hand. So you can see this optic, super clear optic, easy to use. I can see why some people like it. I still would use the regular ELO. I think a lot of it comes down to even the 3X doesn't really give you that much zoom because of the way the affected FOV looks. So there you go. You got kind of that option. Then over here, you can kind of see the Carbon, pretty easy up to there. Realistically, you're only going to be shooting people halfway between this target and the second target. So that's kind of how that one works. The MK78 as well as the Velox. With the MK78 LMG, a little bit slow. You could put on a bigger mag, but it's kind of not worth the attachment. And there's some things that a lot of times you'll go ahead and kind of have options here. Bullet velocity is over 1,000, so that's usually the main goal. That's why we have the monolithic to kind of help out with that. Or we would go with something like the Greaves so we get a little bit more recoil stabilization. But you can see that drops it down to 910. Kind of a problem. I am a big fan of this particular attachment, the one that helps with the first shot accuracy. You can kind of see that behind my camera. First shot recoil control, that's like one of my favorites on a lot of guns. And then what you really want to look at is a lot of times with these stocks, you can see it goes 15, 15, 15 across the board. Sometimes it'll be like 15, 18, 15. But then when you also compare it to the ammo, for example, we can go ahead and get rid of the ammo. And then when we put on recoil springs, you can see it's only 10, 10, 10. So if you only have one attachment, you're picking between the two, you're probably going to go with the stock. So that's kind of how we end up with a build like that. And that keeps it super simple. Then we got the Velox, which is pretty broken right now. It's not so much broken in the single because it has like a normal TTK in the single. But once you get the akimbo, that's where it really gets insane. There also is a prestige attachment that can kind of help out a little bit with jump hipfire spread if you're a little bit more aggressive. I'm going to wait till we get double XP to prestige it, and then I'll go ahead and swap it to that. But as of right now, this is the basic build without prestiging it. So we get the MK, which is going to reload pretty slow, but it shoots pretty straight, relatively easy to use. I've been a fan of this one for the floor loot. A lot of times when you're picking up guns off rip, this one will serve you pretty well. It doesn't already have like a ton of recoil to begin with, so it keeps it really easy. And then you can see the Velox. It's going to have recoil, and that's why you need to be closer than the 10 meters. You need to be barrel stuffing. This is like a pushing gun. You do have to change up your playstyle slightly when you're using a gun like this, just because if the distance is there, like, nope, okay, bait a little bit, get them close, and then you can kind of go ahead and take them out that way. Pretty good right now, pretty broken. I don't know how it didn't get a nerf. I would have made a dedicated video about it. I thought it was going to 100% get nerfed. Did not happen. The Sokol, or Sokol, however you want to call it, this is kind of the build for that one. Pretty straightforward. I like that gun a lot. I feel like it's probably the better of the two LMGs that we're going to feature today. Super easy to use, extra 30 or so bullets, 27 bullets in the mag, makes it a little bit easier. And then we got the MPC, which I'm a big fan of. Pretty easy to use, both of them. As we saw with the TTKs, what's great about using an actual SMG is you don't have to really change your playstyle all that much compared to like the akimbo pistols. You're going to end up missing way too many shots at the medium range versus like the SMG will just do what it needs to and then take out targets at the medium range. That's going to be still of a struggle for I think a lot of people, but overall it shoots pretty straight. It has a clean enough iron sights. That brings us to the M15 and the JGOD. M15, kind of a similar build we've had for a bit. I think the multiplayer one we use the prestige attachment. In this case we don't. Again, using the red dot or ELO sight, just cleaner. Most of my engagements are going to be medium within 50 meters, so I don't really need all that much. And then the JGOD, a pretty straightforward build. Again, you could run this akimbo. You're going to run into the same issues as the other pistols. You just got to change your play style and combine how you're going to be able to move that with. So overall, once this firing range, I don't know why the firing range is so laggy like that. Keeps it pretty simple. Over there, and then we got the JGOD, which I do have that first shot accuracy attachment. So even though it does have that like jump up, it's less noticeable and you're able to stay on target a little bit easier, right? Get the headshots in, that type of thing. But yeah, all these guns, they've made it so SMGs are truly SMGs. And then the last one, the Mirage, pretty straightforward build. Kind of one of my only guns that I've reached level 250 with. I got other guns I got to work towards for that camo, but in general, that's kind of how that one goes. And then we got the Sturmwolf. As we saw, the TTK slightly faster. It has clean iron sights, easy to use. ADS, you can see it's 190 milliseconds, which is kind of in that Goldilocks zone. Overall, easy to use Mirage. And then we have the Sturm, which we also get more ammo with this thing too. So enjoy this one while you can. Luckily, you do not have to prestige it to worry about the prestige attachment. You can see how much straighter it shoots. It doesn't even shake. So let me know how you're enjoying the new season, Fallout event, all that good stuff. Really, I think we're all waiting for season 2 because that's when we're going to get Avalon at some point and update, the big update to Warzone, which they kind of probably should have done like a month ago. So see you on the next one. Thank you for watching. As always, have a great day.